Hello YouTube. Just want to take this time to thank you for watching this video. Appreciate it. It helps us tremendously. And if you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Today here in our area of the Northeast, it's going to be about 97 degrees outside. So I've decided, hey, why not take advantage of it and do a little bit of work inside. I'm going to be prepping some fermented peppers. I'm going to do some pickling and also making bread and butter at the same time. So I got a lot of projects going on today. I'm going to bring you along with me the entire time. So to start off, I'm going to do the bread, prep that first because it takes a little while for it to get ready to put into the pans. So I'm going to get a little spatula here, stir up. I have salt and flour in here. And that's the only two ingredients that'll go into this flour. And in here we have our water with our yeast, and we also put in some honey in here to help the yeast grow, and it's a sweetener for the bread too. It's really delicious. That is already all set to go. As you can see, it's already foaming. That's what you want to see when you have your yeast. Foam at the top, and you know it's ready. So I'm just going to pour that in. Get the honey that's stuck on the bottom there. You don't want to lose that deliciousness. Very healthy too. Great alternative to sugar. And just stir that in. I'll take a little bit for the flour. Whoever, I don't know whoever out there, if you've ever not done this before, it takes a little while for the flour to absorb this. And right now I don't have all the flour in here because you want to get the flour to absorb the moisture, and it wants to be nice and wet. Once you got it, nice, no more flour on the sides, well, maybe a little bit here and there, but not too much. You're gonna go grab some more flour. I put in a cup at a time. So I started out with 4 cups, so that'll be the 5th cup of flour. And the great thing about setting this up again is this takes so much extra time. It's going to take like an hour and a half for this to grow. So I can do other projects while that's waiting. As you can see, the dough is starting to come together. A lot less watery as it was before. But we will definitely need some more. I'm going to put a whole nother cup in, maybe 3/4 of a cup. Start lower. You don't want to put too much in, because then you got to start adding water, and it just gets messy after if there's too much flour in here. So this is going to make me 2 loaves of bread. It'll last me probably 2 weeks. Way better than going to the store and buying whatever crap they sell you. And as you can see, it really doesn't take much effort. As much as they'd like you to believe it does not take much effort at all. Now I'm going to start using my hands. They're washed. And to me, that doesn't really matter anyway. It's my bread. As you can see, it's still got some flour to go. So I'm just going to keep on mixing it in here. Flour flying everywhere. I think we're going to need to put a little bit more in. So yeah, we'll probably end up with 6 full cups. Get a little bit more. I don't know where you live, but this summer up here in the northeast of USA has been quite the hot one. Seems like every few days we get a string of 90s. And doing stuff outside just is not that much fun when it's that hot. So, yeah, you got to keep finding things to do inside. And boy, there are always those. There are always things to do. Alright, she's coming together now. Definitely I like to wipe down the sides. Probably about a 10-minute job to start off getting the bread going. I like to really get the flour in there and get to a sticky, and almost sticky like dough. Kind of what you want your dough to be like. A little sticky, so it has a lot of moisture in it. Now we're going to let this sit for about 90 minutes. Sometimes you don't have to wait the full 90 minutes. It really depends on how warm it is. Like I said, it's very hot up here, but we have the AC on. This will probably be done in 60 minutes. But what I like to do, so like I said, I like to keep it a little sticky so that it doesn't stick to the pan that we're in here. I just put a little bit of oil, very little, don't need much at all. Kind of squish it around with the dough itself. And then cover her up and put her aside. What I'm going to do now is move on to preparing for the peppers fermenting. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So as we wait for the dough to rise, I'm going to start fermenting some peppers. So the fermenting process takes between 5 to 12 days or longer if you'd like. It also is determined by the temperature in your area, and you want to keep it out of the sunlight. So if you have a temperature in your house or wherever you're doing it around 80 to 85 degrees, it might take to the lower range of 5 to 7 days. If it's a little bit cooler in the 60s or 70s, it'll probably take the full 8, maybe 12 days to ferment. And as the fermentation starts the process, it'll be nice and clear water, and probably within 4 or 5 days you'll start seeing it get cloudy. So don't worry about that, it's supposed to get cloudy. And it's going to get more and more cloudy, and that's just the fermentation at work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut up all these peppers, take the seeds out, save them, cut up all of the things that I need to put into the jars. And as you see, I have quite a few peppers here and only 2 jars. That's because when you're fermenting, you want to really stuff those peppers in there, or whatever you're doing, you want to stuff it in there, so that when you fill the liquid up, it's mostly what you have is what you want to eat, or what's the product you're trying to make. So we're going to need salt, we're going to need garlic, bay leaves. I know these work with pickles. I don't really know if they work with peppers. I'm going to try it this time. It's my first time doing it with fermenting peppers. But they're supposed to, because they're a tannin, they're supposed to keep it crunchy instead of letting it get all soggy, and because these are just going to sit in water the whole time. So we'll see how that works. I definitely will put them in the cucumbers because that's a guarantee. We'll also have basil. I think that's about it for here. Oh, I'm also going to have an onion. My apologies. I'm going to do it with an onion too. So what I'll do is I'll prepare all of this and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone and prepared all of the peppers and the ingredients that go in with the fermentation. As you can see, I put on the bottom of the jars the tannins, which are again the bay leaves. I put a bunch of them in there, so we'll see if that actually keeps them nice and crunchy for us. I know it will for the pickles, but we'll find out for the peppers. And the other tool you'll need is something just to be able to squish in the peppers, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to start loading the peppers. I like to do a bunch of different peppers. So I got the greens, the reds, the yellows, the orange. That's about it. So, and then I'll start layering the onions, the garlic, the bay leaves, the basil. So I got a nice little chunk in there right now. I'm just gonna go in here and squish them in. So the reason why you do this is you're going to end up using less water because you're squishing the water out of the peppers, which is a more nutritious water than just pouring water in. And also you get a lot more butt for your bang here. So I'm going to throw just a couple pieces of garlic, small little pieces, and then some onions in here. And some basil. I almost said bay leaves again. Basil. I'll get it right. And pretty simple, right? You just keep putting them in here. Layering them up. There we go. We'll get some of those yellows in here. Time to squish again. And I kind of use a rule is every time I squish, I add the other ingredients, not the peppers, on top of that. So it's nice and it looks pretty nice. And there goes some basil and some onion. And believe me, this comes out delicious. You actually can use the liquid in here. You can drink it straight up, or you can use it as a salad dressing. We do that all the time. Delicious. Great for your gut. Go with some basil again. Now you can put in whatever ingredients you want. I can't think of any others at this time, but I usually just stick with the onions. In fact, I think this might be the first time we're doing onions, but I love onions and everything, so it should be good. But we always have the garlic and the basil. I'm sure there was a couple other things we put in, but I don't remember it right now. All right, so now we will put some more peppers in. Yeah, we're getting to the top. But we'll be able to squish this down again and maybe get a whole nother bout of peppers in here. Depends on how strong I feel, I guess. Oh yeah, this is easily going to get another thing of peppers in here. And you got to remember, as this stuff ferments, the water's being pulled out of the peppers, or the fluids that are being pulled out, so more water will eventually come in here. So if you fill this too high, you'll end up getting leakage, and you'll see what I mean at the end. So I'll throw this garlic. I'm going to try one last hurrah here. And then just a few more peppers and see if I can really crush that in there. There is one very important part that we're coming up to, that you will see in a few minutes. Hopefully I don't pack this too high to ruin that important part, but we'll see. Should be able to crush this in here good. And you can see the fluids coming out as I'm doing this. Yeah, we're really getting this pushed in here. All right. So we've got that pretty much filled up to the rim. So what you really want to do, rinse this off here. The other great thing about fermentation is you don't have to boil your bottles before. You just got to wash them off, make sure they're clean. No big deal there. Then they have, well, you can find something in your house to just hold your, what you want to do is hold these peppers down under all of the fluid. That's the most important part. So when we pour this fluid in, we're going to get the fluid to above where the peppers are, and then use this to push down, so make sure that everything is submerged. If it doesn't get submerged, it'll start rotting and you'll start getting bad things inside there. So as long as all of your food is under the water, you'll be all right. Okay, so making the water, the rule of thumb is 4 cups of water to every 2 tablespoons of salt. So I have 2 cups of water. So I'm going to do 1, and it's very forgiving too. It's not an exact amount. So if you want to do 2 cups to 1.5 tablespoons, it's up to you if you like it more salty. There's a 1. I'm going to do a little extra too, so I did about 1.5, maybe a little bit more. Could be double the size that's required, but again, it's not that important. Let that soak in there. It's amazing how incredibly easy this is. It's literally just water and your vegetables. Take you about a half hour total to make quite a few different containers of it. But the one thing you definitely want to do is make sure that water is getting in everywhere. So you're going to be pushing it around, using your thing to push down again. Get all the bubbles out below. Gonna add a little bit more water. Now, just because you made that much water, again, you're not going to be using it all because you have packed this in there, and you're basically just using the salt and the water to help the fermentation happen and also keep it from rotting or becoming bad while it's fermenting. All right, so I'm going to try and push again without. This seems like I'm already going to have too much water in here, but I'll just keep an eye on it. I use very, very little water too. Watch, as soon as I put that in there, we're probably, there we go. So, but as time goes, you'll start seeing this shrink down anyway, so you can dump some of the fluid or even drink it if you want. But as of right now, I have this all the way to the top. And with fermentation, you want to leave a breathe. You want to have this to be able to breathe. So you kind of just put this on very lightly and leave room for air to get out but not in. So there's our first jar for today, that is. So we'll put that aside. And I'm going to move on to another jar, so I'll be cutting up more. But I won't put that on film because you don't need to see that again. When I'm done with that, we'll be going back to the bread. Okay, so I've finished fermenting the peppers. You can see them back here. I got 2 jars of them. Most likely those things are going to overflow, so I will have them on a plate for a little while. And as I said, the bread will be next. That is nice and risen. You see how soft that is? That's when you want to start the next process. All right, so you're just breaking it down. After all that rising, you just break it down. And we are going to knead it for about 5 or so minutes. And during that process, it's going to help start relaxing the dough. I always do it right in the bowl. It's better rather than throwing it onto a surface and doing it that way. Messing that up. Now you just got one dirty bowl and no dirty surface. So that's how I do it. Seems to work. Like I said before, we live in a very, well, not a very small, but a pretty small city up in the Northeast, and very small plot of land. It's 0.14 acres. I think my wife said it was 0.15 before. She wasn't right. It's 0.14. Not that that makes much of a difference, but still, I don't have a lot of land. So if you have a chance, we did do a garden video tour. If you want to go check that out, it's pretty amazing. Or how much stuff we could fit in our little backyard by the pond. But we keep stacking more stuff in there every year, and it seems to work. We love it. Our ultimate goal is to find a plot of land somewhere down south so that we can actually garden pretty much all year round, or close to it anyway. And then at that point become more and more self-sufficient. I know everyone says self-sufficient, but I truly believe that if you try hard enough, you can, and you will succeed at being pretty sufficient on your own and not reliant on whatever's in the grocery store And in that plot of land, obviously, I want to get a bunch of acres, so I want to have some kind of hunting ground down there too, because I do like to hunt. Love to get my own meats. Maybe get some pigs. I love bacon. Bacon is great. Almost done with this. Got a couple more. Feels soft enough. See how it's like still pulling back, so we still got a little bit more to go. You really do want to do a good job kneading the dough. Definitely helps the bread to be a lot fluffier and not as hard. A couple more, and then I'll just break the dough up in halves. Gotta grease down those 2 pans that I have set up here. Alright, get a little bit of olive oil. Pour some in here. I like to use my fingers to push it around, because when you use a napkin, it soaks it all up. You want these sides to be nice and oiled up, because the bread will stick to it. Go for that one. Don't be afraid to use your hands for things. Just make sure they're clean, that's all. Oh yeah, those are nice and greased up. Now I'm just going to rinse my hands off here. Get the oils off of them. And take this, kind of ball it up. It almost looks like you're going to make a sourdough. I take a knife with a, I don't know, severed, I don't know what that's called, but perforated edge, and I just start slicing it. And then I try to even them out as much as I possibly can. Still nice and sticky. Good moisture in there. So I'll put that guy in here, kind of make him look like a loaf. And then go for the second one. I feel like they're pretty close. I think I'm going to weigh them just to find out. This guy does look a little bit bigger. So let's get our scale out and see what we got here. 97.6 and 102.6. I'm going to keep that. That's pretty darn close first shot. So now what'll happen with this, I'll let this rise for another hour or however long it takes to get to the top rim here. And we will go on to the next task, which should be pickle making. Before we do that, make sure these are all set and put a cover on them. And now we'll go on to pickle making. Okay, so now we're set up to do the pickling. And again, this is fermenting pickles. It's not a regular pickling with vinegar. We don't use vinegar at all. It's water and salt again. And all the other ingredients you would normally put in pickles. So we have our dill flour, which I picked and washed from my garden. And that's the same thing with the basil earlier. I picked that and washed that from my garden. We have whole cloves and coriander seed. And again, I put the bay leaves at the bottom. That's to help to keep the pickles crunchy. And we'll go from there. I've already cut the pickles up, or at least some of them. We'll see if it makes a full jar. I'm not too sure. I cut enough up, so we'll see. But in this one, you don't want to jam them in like you did with the peppers. You want to kind of get them stacked in there, but don't squeeze them because you'll just ruin the pickle. Don't push on them too hard. And again, we're going to use that same water solution that we had earlier. 4 to 1, 4 cups of water to 4 cups of water to 2 tablespoons. We only did 2 cups of water, so we used 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm really getting them in here. Try to take up as much space as you can without ruining the pickles. So yeah, we'll get a good amount of pickles in this one. I'm going to do both types of pickles, spears and chips. So maybe take this guy out of there. Get a couple smaller ones in here, and I think that'll be enough with the cucumbers. Nice small guys fit in here. Alright, so we have our pickles, or our cucumbers in. So now we're going to break up some of the dill, kind of push that in the sides. I have a lot of dill here so that I can make a few jars. Make a few jars of these, so and with the coriander seeds, I just pour, I'd say probably maybe a tablespoon, could be a little bit less. Same thing with the cloves. Probably not even a teaspoon, or a little bit more than a teaspoon of cloves. And shake those in there. And as soon as you add the water, that will bring everything mixed in pretty good. The salt settles to the bottom, so before you pour it again, you want to make sure you really stir it up. Get all that good salt in there. Just going to push it in. So I unfortunately only have the weights that fit on the big wide jars, so I will have to find something to put in there later to hold down the pickles so that they're underwater. But as for now, I'm going to rinse this cover off. There we go. And again, you just do a very light turn, let the air go in. I'm sorry, let the air come out, but not go in. All right, that left me with just a few more cubes of pickles here, or cucumbers. But you get the idea. So that's how I would go ahead and do the fermentation. I do have bigger jars that I'm going to use for the spears. So it'll take a little bit more water and a little bit more pickles. But you don't need to see that either. I'm going to just probably end the video here. Like I said, I'll probably be baking the bread in about a half hour or so. So actually I won't end the video, I'll just stop it and wait for that process, and we'll take it up from there. Okay, so we're back, and I've already cooked the bread. I'm about to take it out of the oven. It just rang, so let's go ahead and get a mitt before I burn myself. Take it out. I just dump them onto the, well, if they come out, that is. I'm gonna need a knife, I think. I guess there wasn't enough oil. Told you, put a lot of oil on. That's happened before, not a big deal. But what I'm gonna do from here is put butter all on top and on bottom of it. It helps, keeps it fresher. And it also makes it taste better, so we will go with that. I'm gonna have to really oil it up next time, I guess. But these came out beautifully. They're gonna be delicious. Like I said, they'll last me the next 2 weeks, and I'll just make them again. And now this is real. This is the last part of this video. We're gonna end it here. If you enjoyed any part of this video or all of it, if you liked to learn about the different processes I do for fermentation and making bread, please like and subscribe, and we will have another video upcoming. Thank you.